Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Um, the channel is Planet X Nibiru. We've mentioned it before. The 10th planet, Planet X, or the 12th planet. It's got quite a few names. The winged disk, we mentioned that as well. Yeah, the Nibiru again. There's a couple of theories out there on what it is. Is it a sun? Is it a planet? Again, very good video here. Planet X Nibiru is the channel. Obviously, the video is called "Nibiru is Real. Have Proof. Impact on Solar System." So that's kind of why I'm going to mention this video, because we constantly ask Silky and Stefan Burns there, is it Nibiru? And they will not answer us. They will not answer us. So I've had to go and look for my fucking self. Increases Earth axis shifting planetary. Probably more of the title here, but yeah, ultimately, what would the effects be on Earth should this thing come towards us? Now, the beauty of this is this video is 9 years old, so a lot's happened in 9 years. You know what I mean? The volcanoes, the shifting Earth again. The Africa's kind of splitting in two, so it's kind of America down the side. A lot's going on, to be honest, but we haven't got time to cover all that here. This is kind of asking the question: why is all this happening to Earth? Why are all these volcanoes going off? Why is Yellowstone and Camp Alegre and even Tenerife should have been earthquakes in that Tenerife, etc. So what's going on? I mean, it could be now to summit, but it also could be summit. So there is the whole crack about Nibiru again. This 12th planet, the 10th planet, Planet X, the winged disk, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So this video now. Again, yeah, I've kind of skipped past a lot of it's on for an hour and 7 minutes. I'm 21 minutes in here. I've skipped through a lot again, kind of a lot of just stuff explaining what Nibiru is and all that kind of crack, which we kind of covered. So I'm not going to waste 20 minutes explaining it all again. We're just kind of diving right into what kind of would be the effects on Earth as well on the solar system. But I think that's further down the video, to be honest. But I'm just kind of going to jump in here on 21 minutes anyway, so off we go.
Undiscovered planet within our solar system, dubbed Nibiru, or Planet X, became well known in 1976 by noted researcher Zecharia Sitchin in his best-selling book, The 12th Planet. As one of few scholars able to read and interpret Sumerian clay tablets, Sitchin utilized those ancient texts to make a highly plausible case for the existence of Planet X, known as the Destroyer in ancient scripts, which comes close to planet Earth every 3,600 years. The Sumerians lived over 6,000 years ago in what is today Iraq. They are credited as the first known civilization on Earth, inventing mathematics, astronomy, and astrology. The sun in our solar system is similar to 90% of the solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy, all part of a binary star system containing two or more suns. The Planet X system can be considered a mini-constellation consisting of our sun's twin, classified a brown dwarf star called Nemesis. This dark star is largely invisible, even with infrared, due to its surrounding red iron oxide dust clouds. Nemesis possesses at least 3 planets that revolve around it, Nibiru and Helion, both with moons, and Arbota. Though Nibiru travels along an elliptical-shaped orbit and enters our solar system approximately every 3,600 years, one by one crossing the orbits of our solar system planets, it does not revolve around our sun. In one of our previous videos, The Truth About Planet X, Connecting the Dots, I provided a 1990 video clip in which Zecharia Sitchin interviewed the supervising astronomer of the U.S. Naval Observatory, Robert S. Harrington to discuss Harrington's recent discovery of the red planet X. Harrington set up a special telescopic observatory in New Zealand to track Planet X. But the renowned head of the observatory suddenly died mysteriously at age 50 of a rare form of cancer under suspicious circumstances. Even so, 2 years after the Sitchin-Harrington interview, and just months prior to Harrington's 1993 death, a NASA press release was still publicly embracing Nibiru Planet X as being real. Unexplained deviations in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune point to a large outer solar system body of 4 to 8 Earth masses on a highly tilted orbit beyond 7 billion miles from the Sun. Also in 1992, a confident NASA scientist named Ray T. Reynolds went on record proclaiming, "Astronomers are so sure of the 10th planet, they think there is nothing left but to name it." But ever since Harrington's untimely death, with few exceptions, the lid has been tightly sealed on any more accurate information released by mainstream sources directly to the public. Apparently, the U.S. government had made the decision to keep Nibiru and its projected earthly destruction under wraps. In recent years, the feds have sent out trolls to disseminate disinformation and false propaganda in attempts to debunk any would-be truth-tellers. The elite ensure that hired shills are planted to busily churn out concentrated disinfo campaigns, smearing lies to prevent the story that never quite goes away from ever having full disclosure. False flag predictions of past non-event disasters are most common, like last year's predicted May 28th San Andreas earthquake, deliberately timed with the opening of the film of the same name, or the 2012 Mayan calendar doomsday non-event, or the May 5th 2000 ice age that never came. And who can forget the Y2K fiasco? And so it goes. The more of these end days predictions that are proven to be false, the more chance that any legitimate warnings of Planet X will be ultimately ridiculed and ignored. The boy who cried wolf syndrome effectively desensitizes the human population into doubting any actual evidence or truth about Nibiru, and so it will never be taken seriously by any reasonably sane person, notwithstanding the aluminum foil hat crowd of conspiracy realists who are more often right than wrong these days when it comes to exposing the myriad of government cover-ups.
Well, he doesn't know the half of it. This video's 9 years old, mate. Again, well, we've been right so many times since, it's unreal at this point. This was before COVID. So, again, just a bit of background, I suppose. Not really. Like the background's probably all the Sumerian stuff and that kind of stuff. This just a bit of science as well there, I suppose. Even sort of science says it's there. There is something in the solar system pulling on Neptune and Uranus and Pluto. That's kind of how we found Pluto in like 1930, looking for what was pulling on the orbit of either Neptune or Uranus. So, this is what I've said before. When I first made a video about Nibiru, I said it's the one kind of conspiracy theory, if that's what you want to call it, that I can't say isn't true, but I can't confirm it either. But yeah, but like I would edge on the side of it is true, because like science, again, history, there's all these sort of things that say that there's a big sort of planet in the solar system, science and history basically being the predominant two. So, yeah, again, a dwarf, another sun that's in effect gone out. So you can't see it because the sun's gone out. And he mentioned the cloud there, so it can't be seen in infrared. And the clouds, the sort of trails with it. That's kind of what makes the winged disc effect. It's the cloud making the sort of the wings. So that's kind of Nibiru. Again, some people call it the dead star. Some people say it's a planet round the dead star. But in essence, it's another body in the solar system that comes through our solar system every 3,600 years approximately. And when it does, it can cause great cataclysms. So that's kind of the tale. But should this be happening, again, it mentions like NASA kind of admitting to it there and then not really mentioning it in 1992 there. So, yeah, like NASA have kind of admitted to this as well, but then just shut the fuck up. Because, again, if this is kind of like world ending, then you don't tell everybody the world's ending here, nobody will go to work anymore, and they've probably known this for like, 30 years, that this is coming, if it's coming. So you don't tell the people 30 years in advance. No, 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 no. You build a load of underground bunkers, and don't tell the people fuck all, and then when the time's right, run into all the underground bunkers, and let all the people deal with the shit, and you've took all the resources there, and all the food and everything, so that you're sorted. But everybody can't be sorted here, you know what I mean? 9 billion people cannot be saved if this is the scenario. So you very much look after yourself and your own, and that's maybe what these people have done. We'll find out. We'll absolutely find out here. So, we'll play a bit more. Again, this is more to do with what will the effects be on Earth as this thing got closer and closer. So in 1992 there, it said it was 7 billion miles away. But these planets move quickly, you know what I mean? Again, 30 years down the road here. How many miles away is it now? Is it nearly here? Again, we don't know, but is this what's causing the effects on Earth? So we'll play a little bit more here.
False flags and lies. The effects of such a large celestial body as Nibiru, Planet X, estimated to be from 4 to 8 times the size of the Earth, re-entering our solar system, has generated an off-the-chart internet frenzy on social media sites in recent times. Convinced it will cause enormous amounts of huge-sized space debris from an asteroid belt. Potential comets, one recently cited to be 2.5 miles wide, and...
Sorry to interrupt, but we've been getting a lot, and I mean a lot of fireballs. We've mentioned this. Again, we've had more so far this year, I think, than in total. Again, mentioned it a few videos. Quite a lot of fireballs coming in the skies. People don't know why, where they're coming from. Could this be an explanation? They've been hit by Nibiru coming in and have been propelled into the inner solar system. Again, I don't know, but again, mentioning here comets towards Earth, and we've been seeing a lot of fireballs recently.
Countless meteors plummeting violently to the Earth. It's believed that the impact of such giant objects crashing into the Earth will push the reset button for another axis tilt, likely causing yet another mass extinction and radically altering global climate zones.
Yeah, maybe again. Could this be the start of the bigger fireballs coming in? Possibly. I don't know at all. You know what I mean? Just we've been getting a lot of fireballs. Nobody's kind of explained it really. If this was the crack, they would lie about it. But I think a big thing will be if we get a semi-big one here again, like on sort of the film Armageddon. Is it when it all comes in on Armageddon and they have like a pre-warning asteroids before the big event there. So again, think when like Armageddon and these films were made, Deep Impact, kind of saying something was going to come and hit Earth as well. Yeah, so again, if we get bigger, if the fireballs continue and get bigger, or we get a big one, then this could be an explanation. Again, I don't know at all if it is, but just a coincidence maybe we're having a lot of fireballs.
Zones, raising sea levels dramatically to reshape coastlines worldwide, decreasing landmass and increasing oceanic water surface. In addition to tilting the Earth's axis, it's speculated that Nibiru's gravitational upset and electromagnetic fireworks on our planet will set off mammoth cracks in the tectonic plates, result.
Right, that's kind of happening again. Africa is kind of splitting here. We've got the San Andreas, like America has got a big fucking crack down here as well. A few places, to be honest. I watched a video this morning about Africa. I think it was Silky, to be honest. Big crack running down Africa. So here we've got fireballs. Here we've got continents kind of shifting and pulling apart. So that's kind of 2 out of 2 so far.
Resulting in never before seen killer quakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, tidal.
We've got volcanoes. We haven't got tsunamis yet. Again, earthquakes are kind of picking up. They're in the sevens at the minute. So should this increase and keep increasing? Again, maybe a possible explanation. But this is what I mean when I kept watching Silky and Stefan, and I keep saying, "Is it Nibiru?" Because if this thing's coming towards us, the gravitational forces involved in the solar system will be immense, and there is bound, absolutely bound, logically, to be effects upon not just our planet, all the planets within the solar system. So, but obviously we live on this planet, so we don't really know what's going on the other planets. So there will be effects. There absolutely will be. And again, science kind of says these things there. History kind of says these things there. Well, NASA have kind of said this thing was there in 1992. Now 7 billion miles away, but again, if it's coming towards us, then it's not 7 billion miles anymore, is it? It's closer. And we're seeing quite a lot of weird effects on Earth. Again, enough for me to kind of mention it, you know what I mean? So mountains falling in, we've got volcanoes going off left, right and centre, super volcanoes ticking up, we've got fucking earthquakes now. I mean, all this has happened before, don't get me wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Well, the whole mountains falling in is kind of new. When all the volcanoes on Earth kind of systematically erupting is not new, but it's not common. But and the fact that Campo Velegre and Yellowstone have been thrown in the mix, that's kind of why it's significant, because these are super volcanoes and never have in our lifetime ticked over before. So that's kind of why it's heightened in the volcano aspect. So yeah, well, I don't know. Again, I keep putting the question out there: is it Nibiru?
Waves, hurricanes, record winds, massive flooding.
Well, yet again, we had a hurricane there in April, possibly one of the biggest of all time, out of season. So there we've ticked 3 boxes, hurricanes as well. Again, the elites have all built underground bunkers. Again, I've always wondered, again, I said the first time I ever made a video on Nibiru, again, I don't know, I can't say this isn't true. I really can't. I can't say Nibiru is a lie. I can't say it's fake. I can't say it's a conspiracy theory. All the evidence kind of points to it being true, to be honest.
And tornadoes. Rather than delving into the mythology and the prophecy surrounding Planet X, this presentation will limit its focus to reviewing the most tangible, credible pieces of scientific evidence supported by astronomers and astrophysicists who in recent years have risked destroying their careers, their reputations, and their very lives promoting their controversial findings and conclusions. This year, more than ever, the movement's growing authenticity of the
sorry to interrupt. I just again mentioned that this video was 9 years ago, so a lot's gone down in 9 years, and yeah, they don't expect the powers that be to tell you that this was coming. They definitely wouldn't. Absolutely no way they would. Because people wouldn't bother going to work or doing anything if they knew that the future was a cataclysm here. Nobody would bother. Everyone would prepare for the cataclysm, to be honest. So, yeah, you would not be told about this till the absolute time that they have to tell you that it's in the sky and you can't deny it. You know what I mean? That's when they'll tell you, and not before, because there'll be widespread panic. And they're worrying about panic for telling people about aliens here. I mean, I don't know if this connects, because Nibiru, obviously, one crack is it's the home of the gods, the Anunnaki. So I don't know if this is all going to connect in at all. Again, I don't ultimately know that Nibiru is true, but again, all the evidence kind of suggests it is. For me and for a lot of people, again, I'm not even like a scientist, an astrophysicist, or any of these people, but a lot of these people who are actually in the field, experts, they believe that Nibiru is true. You know what I mean? So, and then again, we've got history as well, kind of the Sumerians, and they're telling you it's there as well. So we'll find out again that fucking, we'll find all this out. So I could play a bit now again. Nibiru, Planet X approaches.
Planet X story is in fact gathering momentum and garnering support from some rather high-profile notables within the scientific community. This presentation will chronicle the growing body of empirical evidence validating not only Planet X existence, but its imminent approach towards Earth. The highly controversial Planet X system entering our solar system with potential catastrophic implications was first featured in a Washington Post article back in 1983. NASA's Infrared Astronomical Telescope found the mysterious planet, possibly as large as Jupiter, near the constellation of Orion. Now, some 33 years ago, it was considered to be the closest heavenly body to the Earth beyond Pluto. Researcher activist John Moore has long asserted that a number of his inside ex-military and government intelligence sources have independently confirmed that a top-secret meeting took place in 1979 in a New Orleans briefing room where highest-ranking U.S. naval flag officers were first informed of the coming inevitable Planet X disaster that would occur within their lifetime. In October 2003, a highly significant and telling Department of Defense-sponsored government paper was published called An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and Its Implications for United States National Security.
So, an abrupt climate change scenario. Yeah, again, I've kind of mentioned this, that like the whole climate change lie could very much be based on Nibiru coming towards us, and they have to cover the fact that globally things are going to go to shit here. It's absolutely inevitable when this thing comes towards us. So how do you explain that without telling the public that this thing's coming towards us? So, again, 1979, this was talked about in the 80s, back end of the 70s there, but predominantly the 80s. What do? You know what I mean? Well, you make up some sort of lie to cover the fact that this thing's coming. Lo and behold, here we have climate change scenario. And again, we've been bombarded with this climate change issue for years and years and years. And ultimately, it might not be our fault whatsoever. Again, this could be all Nibiru. It's why I always, again, every time I watch Silky there or Stefan, I ask them, is it Nibiru? Because I remember watching stuff like this years and years and years ago, probably about 9 years. I've maybe even seen this before and I can't remember it. Yeah, again, the effects of Nibiru coming towards us, there's going to be effects, there's going to be, like, but when it gets real close, again, when he's mentioning sort of tsunamis and major sort of earthquakes, like in the 8s and possibly the super volcanoes going off, that would be when Nibiru is, like, on the doorstep, you know what I mean? Nobody's saying Nibiru is on the doorstep right now. It would very much be near the doorstep, because we're talking sort of 7 billion miles, but this thing's moving at thousands of miles an hour probably, you know what I mean? Or these are the speeds that we talk in sort of space terms. So if this is all the scenario, and this thing's, it will be almost on the doorstep, and these things should increase and continue to increase. The whole earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it, general climate calamities, again, superstorms, all these kind of things should increase, and get worse and worse the closer this thing gets. So, the whole climate change scenario, is it just a cover for ultimately Nibiru? You know what I mean?
Scenario and its implications for United States national security. This paper notes that oceanic saline levels were dropping, causing thermohaline circulation collapse. A serious disruption of...
Sorry, it kind of come out of America, the whole climate change thing. I think it was possibly Al Gore, but it kind of come out of America. Again, America's the one who's kind of discovered all this, another link. So I think as well, ocean circulation, we're even getting that talked about, and like El Nino, and it could be the end of El Nino, and the whole like this is all being kind of talked about in the news as well, like currently, about El Nino coming. But I've seen an article saying it could be sort of phasing out, but this could just be, again, global ocean circulation being disrupted by Nibiru, and again, gravitational forces. Again, if the moon is somewhere connected to the tides, then the Nibiru is connected to the tides more so than the moon due to bigger gravitational forces. And as it gets closer, again, there will be effects. So, yeah, the whole this is kind of being talked about in the news. I've seen it with the whole El Nino thing. Not only are we possibly getting a strong, hot El Nino this year, but the aftermath of that conversation was that it could be kind of the end of El Nino. So, the ocean, this current here in particular, this red one that brings warm water up to England, to be honest. And the reason, like, if you go right across here and you go left and into these areas, all these areas are frozen, and in effect England should be a frozen tundra in many ways, but because of this current we're not, and predominantly that's why we're not. So if this thing dies, the whole current, then an ice age could be a very real prospect. That's been talked about as well. But is the effects really Nibiru causing all this, and it's not fucking climate change, you know what I mean?
The Atlantic conveyor belt that pushes warm salt water near the surface circulating northward from the south, while deeper cooler water flows southward, would have a devastating impact on global climate. The paper concludes with the following sobering predictions: wars over energy, food and water resources, increasing drought over wider landmass, and violent climate change effects.
Increasing drought. Again, there's drought in America at the moment, but in many places there is drought. Again, people are trying to blame the drought in America on like weather weapons, and again, the weather weapons could be a cover for Nibiru, but here's another effect that we're seeing. You know what I mean? So yeah, the whole weather weapon, because again, America's having a drought, and it was Dabu on a previous video mentioned weather weapons, but there's no conclusive proof of that, to be honest. They do chemtrailers and everything, yeah, but in terms of directing the clouds away, I don't think you have a lot of proof on that issue. And again, but it's a good cover. It's an absolutely brilliant cover for if this was to be happening again due to Nibiru, again, droughts, volcanoes. Again, this is why I often ask Silky, because all these effects are, in a way, the predictions of what would happen.
Producing more frequent, higher magnitude natural catastrophes of all kinds. A dozen years later, all of these most disturbing developments are clearly manifesting. Of course, the current standard politically correct scientific dogma is that global warming, aka climate change, emanating from CO2 greenhouse gases, is the obvious culprit. This mass deception is designed to conveniently obscure the multiple dire effects caused by many decades of the globalists' geoengineering, HARP, weather modification, and weather wars. Not to mention the hidden, non-existent Planet X system hurtling towards us deeper inside our solar system that's likely causing tremendous changes at the surface of all our solar system planets, of course including our own Earth's atmosphere and global surface. In March 2010, the mainstream UK newspaper, The Telegraph, ran a story entitled "Search On for Death Star That Throws Out Deadly Comets." The subheadline announced that NASA is looking for the twin sun, that's the brown dwarf star Nemesis, slowly circling our sun and periodically catapulting deadly comets to the Earth. So as quiet as NASA has been over the years, little bits of information reflecting the notion that they are still searching for the cataclysmic Planet X system manages to seep through to the public every now and then from so-called reputable news sources. The article goes on to state that the star that's 5 times the size of Jupiter is the prime suspect that wiped out the dinosaur 65 million years ago, as the following video suggests.
Nah, we don't think that happened. They died in the flood. They died in the flood. Again, all this millions of years guff's bollocks. Again, we haven't been here millions of years. It's all guff that. Again, the dinosaurs died in the flood. Carbon dating doesn't fucking work. They just make it up. And again, the ultimately, again, dinosaur means terrible lizard. That was only decided in the 1800s. And they decide how old these things are by how deep they are. But there's no exact science on that whatsoever. It doesn't take into consideration landslides or anything at all. So it's nowhere near an exact science. It's actually so flawed, it's unbelievable. So all these millions of years guff, it's definitely not true, to be honest. It's definitely not true. Because we found, again, well, I can't go into it. You kind of need to prove what I'm saying, but I can't be bothered to go and find the information. People have found, again, kind of like the Earth's melting in a way, due to it getting warmer. Is it Nibiru? Mud Fossil University channel. Again, the Earth's kind of decomposing. That's why kind of mountains are falling in and all this kind of guff. And somebody's found like a partially dinosaur. I think it was in ice possibly, and it's like partially decomposed. And they've got the majority of the dinosaur. I think was the crack. Again, I'd have to look for the information, but I can't be bothered. So we're finding all sorts as well. Like this is it. Like again, everybody's got like this concept of history that they kind of learned at school, and that's history now. And like the amount of things we've discovered in like since we all left school, and nobody bothered paying attention to any of it. You know what I mean? So this is one of these things that's been going on here. You know what I mean? Like this whole 10th planet scenario. Again, I'm not one. I can't say it's true, but I can't say it's false. I don't know. I'm not kind of educated enough in the field to know. But everything kind of points to it, and people in the field who are educated enough kind of say it's there. You know what I mean? So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, but you've got to edge with the side of it's real and it's there and it's coming, because experts kind of say that, science kind of says that, history kind of says that. So I'll play a bit more anyway. Hold on.
Earth is believed to have undergone 5 official mass extinctions thus far, and one retired astrophysics professor thinks he knows what could have caused them. In a recently published study, Daniel
Yeah, well, again, if it comes round every 3,600 years, depending on where we are in the solar system, will have effect. So it might not cause cataclysms every time if we're on like the other side of the sun, but I would imagine there'll still be effects on Earth. Again, it'll be pretty close at that point. So one theory is that the sort of cataclysms on Earth are caused by Nibiru coming round. Again, it's got an orbit, so it comes back and comes back and comes back. So yeah, one theory is Nibiru causes cataclysms
Whitmire
that are definitely there. There is evidence of on Earth of ruination. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's one theory.
argues that presently undiscovered Planet X is responsible for an onslaught of comets colliding into Earth every 27 million years or so, and destroying life, including the dinosaurs. In 1985, Whitmire released his first paper on this ninth planet, which theoretically exists along the outer bounds of our solar system. He and his co-author, John Matisse, reasoned that the orbit of Planet X takes it through the Kuiper Belt in 27 million year intervals, and objects get pushed to the inner solar system as a result. In his current research, Whitmire linked.
So as you've seen there, his orbit was just going round. It wasn't coming near us, so to speak. Hold on. Fucking gremlins.
Planet X is responsible for an onslaught of comets colliding into Earth every 27 million years or so, and
yeah, in all these millions of years, there's no way we can know them kind of times. You know what I mean? Like, it's not doable. Again, we're having a struggle here piecing this history back together 500 years ago. Fucking 28 million years. Fuck off. So again, not on the orbit.
destroying life, including the dinosaurs. In
So as he say, his orbit here on this.
1985, Whitmire released his.
He's just got his orbit going round and round, but it's said to have an elliptical orbit. This is going from the history of the Sumerians kind of crack. And it comes from the South Pole, and this is again why they've got stations in Antarctica apparently looking for this. Again, the guy that was mentioned who built a telescope that died mysteriously, it was in New Zealand, which is in the southern hemisphere. So that's the other side of the as well. I don't think we can see it in the northern hemisphere, and it's like we would need people in Australia and New Zealand to sort of keep an eye on this and keep an eye on the skies. We won't see it till real late in the day is kind of the crack. So it's the people in the southern hemisphere who'll know about this long before we ever will. But whether anyone in the southern hemisphere is keeping a fucking eye on this, I do not know. So this guy's theory is that a weird orbit, comets coming in. We're going to skip forward a bit here and move forward. We don't want to listen to this guy's theory. And new dwarf planet found, solar system's edge, hints at possible faraway planet X. So this was in 2014, this article.
ET-NO joining Sedna as two known members of the inner Oort cloud, which is the comet-filled sphere that lies just beyond the Kuiper Belt and Pluto. Trujillo and Shepard claim these two objects' orbits comply with the gravitational presence of a big disturber, which is up to 10 times the mass of the Earth. Major unheard-of changes are currently appearing on the surface and atmosphere of the Sun and all the planets. Astronomer Mike Lockwood from California's Rutherford Appleton National Laboratories found that since 1901, the Sun's overall magnetic field has increased by 230%. Solar flares and storms have also increased.
So as well, it'd be interesting to know yet again because this is 9 years ago. Again, the video's 9 years old. So has that trend continued? You know what I mean? I haven't literally got time to look now. I've got to finish this video and go out. But yeah, again, has the trend continued? But again, from what we're seeing now, this is why I keep kind of asking Silky and Stefan. Again, there really does seem to be something going on. I've never really seen mountains falling in. You know what I mean? That was one of the key things for me. A mountain fell in. Two, in fact. I think one in Germany is going to go soon as well. That looks catastrophic when it goes. In Yeah, mountains are falling in. That was a new one kind of thing, and super volcanoes are showing signs of kind of ticking up. So everything was kind of normal in a way till them things happened, and you know what I mean. And there is quite a lot of volcanoes going off, and the earthquakes, etc. So global warming as well. We're all getting that shit blamed on us, and you know what I mean. There's a lot of dots here, but a lot of them do connect in many ways. So apparently the Earth has a growing atmosphere. Again, I don't know if that's true. Again, there's some stuff I don't know, you don't know, you know what I mean? But some stuff we do know, we can see, we've witnessed it, we've watched the mountains falling in there. Again, that one in Germany, I don't think that's gone yet. That'll be catastrophic. It looks like it's going to go in the near future. Blatton's probably still in ruination, to be fair. So again, that was the signs for me that the mountains and the super volcanoes. It got me sort of thinking, this maybe isn't quite normal. Is something going on? So I'll play a bit more on them.
The Earth's moon now has a 6,000 kilometer deep atmosphere of natrium that it never had before. Mercury, the planet closest to the Sun, now has grown polar ice. Venus's brightness has skyrocketed by 2,500% and experienced major changes in its atmosphere in the last 4 decades. Meanwhile, further away from the Sun than the Earth, Mars has melted polar ice caps, and its magnitude of storms has strengthened exponentially. Jupiter has had the brightness of its plasma clouds increase 200%, accompanied by a pattern of intermittent thickening, then weakening. The largest planet in our solar system's enormous belts have been changing color with radiation levels erratically waning and then flaring up again. An increase in asteroid and comet activity on Jupiter is likely from Nibiru's entrance into our solar system. During the last 3 decades, the jet stream on Saturn's equator has slowed in velocity, while X-rays at the equator have spiked. Uranus has become brighter with a huge flare-up of storm activity, when its surface before was always placid. Neptune has also increased in brightness by 40%. The atmospheric pressure on Pluto has jumped up by 300%, despite it moving further from the Sun. The glowing plasma on the edge of our solar system has increased 1,000%. The profound changes being measured in space are unprecedented. An increase in energy emissions is changing the fundamental structure of all matter throughout our solar system. Taken together, these massive across-the-board changes most likely are all the result of Planet X moving through our solar system. Changes on the Earth have been pronounced as well, most notably with electromagnetic changes, yearly incremental polar axis changes, and extreme weather changes. As an example, North Pole, Alaska recently saw its late spring temperatures soared to a high of 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Between 1963 and 2009, the frequency of natural disasters globally has leaped up by 410%. And in more recent years, the rate of disasters has soared even higher. With an increasing number of volcanic eruptions along the Pacific Ring of Fire, and earthquakes felt globally, particularly along the San Andreas and the New Madrid fault lines.
Yeah, again, sorry to interrupt, but again, one as well, how this could sort of come in waves, like birth pains, weirdly, as it says in the Bible there. How this could come in waves as well, like if our Earth is obviously revolving around the sun, when we're on the opposite side of the sun to where this is coming in, obviously the effects might be less, and then when we come round, so every sort of 6 months, it should sort of come in waves of maybe 6 months. Every time we come back round to the side of the sun this is coming in on, maybe the effects are greater and we have an uptick, and then it kind of calms down and then it comes back again. I don't know, but again, we are moving around the sun apparently, so depending on which direction this is coming into the solar system, the effects on Earth may change. It may not be a constant sort of thing. It might diminish slightly due to where we are in the solar system. Again, I don't know, just logically thinking, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, but is Nibiru coming? Again, it's a question I've asked myself and the fucking Silky, never mind, but just the world in a way. Yeah, is it Nibiru? Like, is it Nibiru? So it's fucking it's ultimate bagwash if it's an Hebrew. It is ultimate bagwash, unless you've got an underground bunker there. So yeah, we'll play a little bit more.
Major volcanic and earthquake activity is rapidly on the rise. As early as November 2013, 10 different long dormant volcanoes went active, first suggesting Planet X's presence. The rate of volcanic eruptions between 1875 and 2010 has increased nearly 500%, but even greater now.
I mean, hold on a minute. I'll just go and see if I can get this graph on Google and see what it's like, because this is 9 years old. Bear with us. So I typed in increase in volcanic activity over 200 years. So here's a lot of graphs, and every single one of them's going directly upwards, it would seem. Again, I can't quite make out the year. I think that only says 2000. We kind of want to modern times here. Hold on a minute. I'll look down the page. Yeah, but I mean, there is, every graph's kind of going in one direction, isn't it? Up. So, core evidence of major volcanic eruptions. Have you got years? No, I don't understand the graph. Yeah, but again, there is. I mean, if this is, I think this is what he was kind of looking at. Yeah, so an uptick in volcanoes, again, he's kind of saying there is, but I think we're definitely seeing that now in real time, you know what I mean? Is it Nibiru?
A substantial increase in 3.0 or higher earthquakes are shaking America's heartland due to fracking. In Oklahoma alone, going from 2 or 3 a year prior to fracking to 562 last year alone. Since 1973, earthquakes have risen worldwide by 400%. 6.0 magnitude earthquakes or greater has also spiked in recent years, jumping on average from 108.5 earthquakes per year in the 1980 to 89 decade to 160.9 earthquakes per year from 2000.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but this is the thing. So we've got the whole sort of climate change crack, But you can't blame climate change for an uptick in volcanoes and earthquakes, unfortunately. So, yeah, like again, that's kind of the connecting dot here, because they've kind of said it's climate change. But how does climate change affect earthquakes and volcanoes, which are increasing as well as possible other effects? Again, I haven't got time to play all of the video, to be honest. I recommend come and watching it, or look into Nibiru if you want, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but again, climate change, is that the lie to cover sort of storms and that kind of bagwash? But when it comes to sort of volcanoes and earthquakes, you can't really blame climate change. But here we have an increase in them as well. And I would suggest, if we had the graph, that the graph has continued to go up because of what we're sort of seeing now, especially with the volcanoes. Not too sure on the earthquakes, to be honest. But definitely with the volcanoes, I think we've definitely considered seeing just a constant rise to this day.
2000 to 2009, increasing by 38.9%. In the first quarter of 2014 alone, more than twice as many large earthquakes occurred than on average since 1979. Last year, scientists at the European Science Foundation warned that in the years to come, there is a 5 to 10% chance that a colossal-sized volcano could send the Earth back to pre-civilization status.
Yeah, probably be Camp Everlegra there. It'll definitely send Naples back to the fucking Stone Age.
A significant rise in landslides and floods have also been measured.
Yeah, landslides, again, mountains falling in, definitely on the increase. Again, Sicily falling in there as well. One in Germany is about to go. So I'd say that's definitely gone up.
For the last 2,000 years, the Earth's magnetic field.
Yeah, that's still happening as well. Seeing a thing on that the other day, but the weakest it's ever been. Again, magnetic field. Could the magnetic field being dragged towards Nibiru, thus weakening it? Don't know. Again, theory, but logically, again, the magnetic field probably would be affected by gravitational forces. Do you know what I mean?
Has been decreasing gradually. But in the last 500 years, that decrease has become much more dramatic. Scientists have been shocked at the alarming rate that the Earth's magnetosphere has been disappearing.
Yeah, and again, could this be the Great Reset spoke of? Again, it kind of resets the planet with a catastrophe. So again, all this talk of the Great Reset by the global elites there. Could that be a code for them, knowing ultimately what the reset will be? It's not what we think. Again, you wouldn't tell people this. You've got to deceive them into believing the reset means an economic reset, when does it mean a planetary reset, the Great Reset? Again, I don't know, but that's out there, you know what I mean?
The planet's natural shield preventing solar winds and radiation from reaching the Earth's surface is being lost. This disturbing discovery comes while solar storm activity continues. These solar blasts seriously threaten to interfere with satellite and GPS communications, and risk bursts of electromagnetic pulses, if not launched by EMP weapons in the wrong hands like ISIS, that could be lethal to America's power grid, quickly placing millions of people in
fucking ISIS. Muslims got a mention. Fucking, would you believe it? Fucking 9 years ago, and they were still getting on everyone's fucking nerves then.
In the dark, without any source of electricity, for months or even years at a time.
Oh yeah, it'd be ultimate bagwash if this is true. Again, it's ultimate bagwash if Nibiru's coming home here. They're back. European Space Agency Living Planet Symposium 2016. So there's a load more information here, to be honest. Again, the whole subject's massive on its own, Nibiru, like. I didn't play the first 20 minutes of the video either. We kind of started on 21 minutes. We've played through to sort of 50, so I've played half an hour. There's more than half an hour still available to watch here with more information. Come over to the channel, Planet X Nibiru, or look into Nibiru. Again, it's quite a good video, quite detailed, you know what I mean? But it's 9 years old, is the other side of it. So Nibiru would be a lot closer by now, is kind of the message here. But again, I think it comes from the southern hemisphere, is kind of the crack. So we wouldn't be able to see this. It'll be in, again, Australia and New Zealand and South America there. They're kind of the people who should be keeping an eye on the skies for this thing, whereas I don't think we can. Again, this is why they built all these telescopes in the southern hemisphere. The Vatican, etc. I think they built one in Southern America there. And we've got them in Chile, etc., on mountains, because it's the only place we can see this. And we can't kind of see it, is as it said earlier in the video there, it's very hard to see in space with how we predominantly spot and decide things are there in space using movement in front of light. This is very, very difficult to spot. So, yeah, that it's Nibiru. That's mentioned it before there. Again, can't tell you if it's true or if it's false, but it kind of points in the direction if it's true, like. So, ultimate bagwash, yet again. You don't think you can escape the bagwash here. Never will you escape the bagwash. So, come over to the channel and watch the rest of it if you want. I'll leave it there, peace.